And now, for your listening pleasure, here's Polizzi and Rose, covering the week of media, marketing, and digital content news. This Old Marketing. Take it away, boys.
Hello, my friends. This is Robert Rose, and welcome to episode number 297 of This Old Marketing, recorded on Thursday, November 11th, 2021. And with me, as always, my good friend, my colleague, and really the only guy who could talk some sense into Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Joe Polizzi. You called him, right? Did you call him, or did you talk to him?
Oh, yeah. Aaron and I are on first name basis, but
I thought you might be.
As you've noticed, I think we talked about this on the last episode. There were no Aaron Rodgers commercials on Sunday, if you noticed.
That is, I did notice.
They took them off, I guess, I don't know, so something like that day, 1.5% of State Farm commercials were Aaron Rodgers, and everything went Mahomes. I have no idea why.
Yeah, that's right.
Why would that happen?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he got the Rodgers rate, I guess.
Oh, jeez. This is
see what I did there?
That was good. That was good.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So sorry about your Cowboys, man.
Oh my God, they got their butt whipped. That was a beatdown, is what that was. And I, look, a lot of people are like, don't say it was that they needed it, that they were too big for their britches and all that kind of stuff. They just got beat down. I think it was. I think they basically got a little too big for their britches, winning 6 in a row, and just came out flat. And that was evidenced by everybody came out flat. I mean, it wasn't just one aspect of the game. Like, everybody was just like, what is this game called football, and how do you play it? It was
well,
bad.
I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched a few of the highlights, but it's amazing how one dropped pass changes everything about a game. Because I just saw a couple times where they're just open receivers and they were dropped, and then it just seemed to spiral downhill. Yeah. Everybody gets frustrated, and that's it. It's almost like you can't turn in the right direction because it's just pouring over you. I don't know.
Well, that's exactly it.
But hey, my OBJ
wiped the floor. Yeah,
it's
the disappearing OBJ, like we talked about last week, and all of a sudden the Browns have discovered how to win again.
Sometimes just getting certain people out of the ranks.
That's true. I absolutely believe that.
If you look back at last year, Baker Mayfield's best games were when Beckham was not in the lineup. And I don't know why. I don't know if there's extra pressure to throw it to him. They just don't seem to. Either he's thrown in the wrong place or OBJ was running the wrong route. I don't know. Doesn't matter. All kinds of mistakes were happening. But when you had the other receivers in, those weren't happening. They're running a perfect offense. And that's what happened this weekend. So,
yep.
Good.
Yep.
Fine.
Yeah, good. Good is right. Good is absolutely right.
And I don't know.
No, they look good. They look strong.
I don't even know if it's been I know that. I don't know if he cleared waivers or what. Did you hear? Did he pick up with another team?
Yes, he has an offer on the table. Literally as we record this, I saw a headline just as we got online with each other saying that OBJ has a offer on the table. I don't know who it is.
Is it with Edmonton or Toronto? Which is the? I'm sorry.
Well done.
I think
it's Man United, actually.
Wherever Johnny Manziel's playing, that's where he needs to go, because those two. I have nothing against OBJ. I just, you can see it on the field. I can't remember what game it was, but I was at the game. Maybe it was the Denver game or something like that. And I'm at the game. It's a Thursday night game, and you're watching it. You texted me, and you're like, "What's up with OBJ? He literally cannot catch a pass." I'm like, "Yeah, right now he's the worst person on the field."
That's right.
So,
and has been for some time. So, yeah.
And again, he's injured and whatever. But, Browns are back 5-4. We're fine. We control our own destiny.
Yep, you're doing well.
It's just, the other teams in the division, like Baltimore, just Baltimore and squeaks it out in overtime. Pittsburgh. Did you see the Pittsburgh-Chicago ending to that game?
I did.
The Chicago, what he hit the very bottom of the field goal post, and whatever. Good for all you Pittsburgh Steelers fans out there. But I was really sort of hoping that we could,
and one in particular.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm happy for that gentleman, but other than that, we could have used the Pittsburgh loss. And you've been traveling.
Yes, indeed.
You've been traveling all week.
I have been traveling all week. I am actually on my third and last trip of the year as we record this, and doing something that we haven't done in some time, which is I'm actually recording from a hotel room, which is, as you can attest to, something I haven't done in a while. So I'm literally staring at a water bottle, which is serving as my microphone stand, and sort of a makeshift setup here.
It is crazy.
And,
you move pillows around. You do what you got to do.
Move the pillows around.
You sound impeccable. I think you sound better than you ever have. So whatever system you got going on with the Aquafina bottle,
maybe I should just bring this home. It is an Aquafina bottle. How did you know that? This episode's sponsored by Aquafina.
I know you so well. I know what kind
bottle
of water you drink. That's how well we know each other.
There we go.
Jeez.
There we go. Yeah. So all good. I'm here in and of course I'm also in my favorite place in the world, which of course is any frequent listener of the show will hear. Orlando. Yes, Orlando, Florida. Yes, my arch enemy of Orlando, Florida, and Orlando is as Orlando-y as you might expect it to be right now. Raining and humid and fine. The event I'm at, though, is really fun. The event I'm at is really great and interesting, and the people are sweet. And my keynote is later this afternoon. So, as we get to this, I have yet to go on stage, but then I get to go home. Once that's done, I fly home tomorrow, and it's my last trip of the year. So I'm excited about that.
Not going to stop at Disney World or anything like that, because I know how much you like to tour around Orlando.
I shall not. No. I shall. Exactly. I shall not be availing myself of the various services that Orlando has to offer. No, I shall be getting on a plane and going home as soon as I possibly can.
I only think I've done 2 speeches ever. One was for Disney. 2 speeches ever in Orlando, and it seems like you're there every month. Like I don't know what the events.
Well, I haven't been lately, but
not lately, but you know what I'm talking about. Like when you were in your,
I do.
It seemed like every other month you were doing some kind of gig in Orlando, and I don't know. I mean, you must be you're on some bulletin board for Orlando event producers. It's like, who's the guy that we need? It's like, there's Robert Rose.
Who's the guy?
That's the guy.
He loves Orlando.
We got to bring him in.
He loves Orlando. Yeah, we got to get him in there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. God. So did we have? Oh no, you got to do the promo before we go to the news. I always forget.
Yes, absolutely. We got to make sure that everybody knows. So first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody out there, thank you for all of the questions that we're getting. That has been fantastic. Yeah, it's been quite overwhelming, actually. Wonderful. But we have a couple of ways we'd love, our 300th episode is coming up in, literally 2 more episodes. And then we're going to have the whole episode to talk about what you want to talk about, like what you want us to talk about. So questions, bring your questions in, and you can do that through a couple of means. One is to hashtag us up at This Old Marketing on the Twitter. The other is if you go to our site, thisoldmarketing.site, you can actually do that. It's pretty self-explanatory when you get there. You can leave an audio comment and basically leave us an audio question, which we'd love to get to be able to put your voice on the show. And then if you want to leave an audio comment, but you're not digging the whole web browser thing, you can also just email us.
Or just put it in the contact form is easiest on the website.
Or in a contact form, a link on the contact form. There you go. A link on the contact form is the easiest way to do it. And we're going to be giving away some prizes. Joe, through the wonderful and beautiful Tilt, is going to be giving away $50 worth of Tilt coin for 10 folks of getting the questions that answered. And I'm going to be sending out a killing marketing book, which to those who ask questions, and we pick those questions.
Which, in all, it's a $51 value package. Is what it is.
That's correct. A 50. Yes, actually, it's probably even depreciated between that. So your $50 of Titcoin with the Killing Marketing book is worth about $45. So, before you even get it, but it will appreciate fast, as Tiltcoin, for all of you who hold Tiltcoin out there, have seen. Holy smokes, are you on a it's Tiltcoin, Bitcoin, and Ethereum, and I think that's those are the fast risers.
It is kind of nuts, actually, how it's. It's exceeded my expectations, and we'll talk about it in the first news thing, because it's our first coverage of what we're going to talk about. But I shared this with you, how silly I felt. One of our team members, who will go nameless, did a great job in setting up an audio form for us to take these questions for This Old Marketing's 300.
That's right.
And I'm like, how do I put it onto thisoldmarketing.site and whatever? And I found it. I did put a banner on the top. It's great. You click on it. You go ahead. People are using it. It's wonderful, right? And then I realized that every page of our This Old Marketing site has a microphone in the bottom right-hand corner. And we've had this all along, that you could submit. People could have submitted an audio thing forever. I just didn't even know it was there. It's amazing.
We are the leading experts in technology.
It's like, how do I not know this?
Yeah,
I did. Right. This is, how I found out. This is how silly it is. Because we put the form up, we talked about it. You talked about it on the show. People are, okay, great. Some people use the form, and then all of a sudden, I got this audio question from one of our listeners through the site, a different form, not the one I put up. I'm like, where did this? I have no idea where this came from. I just got the note, an email came from the site. It's beautiful. I listened to it. Great question. I'm like, where did this come from? And I'm literally trolling through our contact page. I'm back into the specs and the analytics. I can't find it anywhere.
Nice.
And then I see this big orange microphone on every page. I'm like, oh, there it is. Who knew?
There it is.
So it's just, I don't know, a boomer moment, I guess, is what my kids would say.
There it is. Yeah, it's a boomer.
Which seems to be happening.
It's a boomer moment
all the time now. It's like, no matter what I say in front of my kids, it's a boomer moment. I tell them I'm not a boomer. I'm Gen X, but apparently it doesn't matter. Like anyone can have a boomer. Anyone can be a boomer today. It just happens to be me.
This is what I've heard. Yes, is that it doesn't matter because both you and I are Gen X, and so it doesn't matter. We can all have our boomer moments.
So yeah, but yeah. So great. Thank you to everyone for submitting the questions.
Thank you for those questions.
Have a lot of. It's going to be a difficult task because we have a lot of questions to go through. So we'll see who
we do, and they're great questions. Yeah, I can't wait for 300. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to have a good time. We've got some good, fun surprises planned, and all those kinds of things. So, yeah. Awesome stuff.
Yeah,
should we get to the news?
Yeah. Do we have news
here a little bit? We do actually have a little bit of news to talk about, and the first one is a little bit old, but it just is the perfect convergence of the things that we've been talking about lately. So we wanted to bring it sort of out. It was 3 weeks ago, I guess this came out. And the article itself, the headline, we've actually covered the launch of this site some time ago, mirror.xyz, which is quickly becoming a source of really interesting stories and posts and whatnot. And the headline here is why the New York Times should be tokenized. And it's a really interesting sort of point of view article, and it was a great way for Joe and I to discuss some things. So we thought we'd bring it up and link to it obviously in the show notes. But the headline starts, why the New York Times should be tokenized. And it starts out by saying a few months ago, and I'm going to get this name wrong, Nir Cabessa. And I wrote about why all software as a service companies should be tokenized. The title was slightly hyperbolic, but our point was that token models make a lot of sense for subscription businesses. To summarize its core concept, SaaS businesses tend to have a very low cost of marginal distribution, which means that early subscribers are essentially already investors. We'll come back to that part. Each incremental subscriber adds a little to the cost base, but lots of the ability to reach the point where the flywheel starts spinning. That tipping point may be the ability for the creator to go full-time, hire support, or just invest in the quality of their product. If that piece laid out the principle, this article is about applying it specifically to one application where there are unique benefits: subscription media models. There's been a lot of talk about the current battle between old media platforms like the New York Times and upstart newsletters on Substack. And I believe, this says the author, tokenization could emerge as a key differentiator for forward-thinking media companies, especially for new companies and products. Allowing early subscribers to benefit from future upside can shorten the time to product market fit. The article goes on to talk about their theory here about how tokens could be the next step on subscribers for the media model. They talk about the success the New York Times has had with the subscriber-based model, and especially their stock price over the last couple of years. And basically then they sort of lay out a straw man of what it might look like, right? To say, okay, if you want to access the New York Times, you've got to hold at least $100 worth of their coin in your wallet. And then each year, $100 worth of those Times coins are burned, in other words, removed from my wallet. But if you start to get more coins based on your subscription because of the things you do, well, maybe all of a sudden that starts to earn you the ability to get, quote unquote, a free subscription, or certainly, the inflation or the increased investment value of your Times coins. It's a relatively straightforward argument, Joe. What did you think about it, and what do you think about this thing? I definitely have a take on this, but I wanted to hear what, you're neck deep in this. What do you think?
Actually, I love the example. I love what they're trying to do, talking about tokens as the new subscription program. I wish they wouldn't have used the New York Times as the example, because it's a challenging example, because the New York Times is a public company. And if I'm a public company, this is really difficult. And we already know, we've talked about it on this show, there's been a number of public companies that have wanted to do something with the token, but their legal counsel suggests that they don't. There's too much confusion. What's the token? Right. What's the stock? All kinds of considerations there to take. But so that aside, it's interesting, right? I mean, I've been just full disclosure, I've been a investor in New York Times. We've owned their stock for years. So it was great. I think when that stock was like at $10 or something, I got into it because when they started to go into digital subscriptions, I really felt that they were and focus on email newsletters. There was going to be something there. So let's just say at that point, instead of me buying stock, I would have bought 100 Times tokens. Well, to the example, 100 Times tokens would be the cost of a subscription program for that year, and they would get burned, and that's what I would pay. But because the performance has been so amazing at the New York Times, my early 100 tokens would probably be worth thousands of dollars, right? Theoretically. So I would only have to burn, use a couple of those tokens. And it's the same thing where, you were talking about Tiltcoin before. It's the same type of thing. You're paying for access and you're sort of in on the ground level. And if everything goes well and you believe in what's going on, you get access to the content, but then you also get the price appreciation and you get more buying power, theoretically, from the utility of that coin. So there are people like yourself. You were one of the early people that had some Tiltcoin, right? And I don't know what you have now, but at the time it was probably $1 or $2, right? Well, now Tiltcoin is whatever it is, $47. So you're an early VIP access member, but it didn't cost you anything because the coins weren't worth anything. But now, because it's 9 months later, you have a lot of buying power with at what the time didn't cost you anything. So it's an interesting opportunity for media companies, for startups, non-public companies to really disrupt the space. And you meld, instead of me being just an investor in the New York Times and a subscriber, those two things are very, very separate in the traditional media world or traditional investing world. But today it becomes the same thing. You are a community member, and as a community member, you have ownership through the token, you have subscription through the token, you have access through the token. So it's a whole new model. And, we've been talking on this show. We don't know where it's going to go, but there is a there. Like there is a model here. And so I think the opportunity for people listening are the ones that, any of the disruptor brands out there that want to go this direction. That's what you're going to see first, right? You're not going to see the tried and true brands are going to go out and experiment something and take all kinds of risks, and their legal team's going to be like, no, don't do that. But you're going to have some startups that are going to go crazy with this thing, be amazingly successful, and then those traditional brands are going to look back and say, oh my God, now we've got some issues here because there's a new competitor, and they're on a totally different business model than us. So, what do you think?
That's right. Yeah. I agree with you, and that was going to be my first comment too, which is I wish they hadn't picked a public company to use as an example of this, because not only is there a challenge with the model that they've proposed because of the fact that it's a public company, then they go on to talk about the cash flow, right? Because the immediate pushback is you say, all right, there's a cash flow issue here, right? Because if I give everybody basically ostensibly a free membership, I'm only going to be able to generate real cash, in other words, U.S. dollars, from new subscribers. Basically, if the inflation of my dollars go up, then I'm only executing against new subscribers and getting their dollars, not the existing subscribers. They argue that that's not any different than the discounting that happens to basically businesses that scale. In other words, your renewal rate is going to be at a discount. In other words, you call up and you say, hey, I'm going to cancel DirecTV, or I'm going to cancel my newspaper subscription. They go, no, sign up for another year and I'll give you a 50% discount, right? Yes, that's true. That does happen. But what you're doing is you're systematizing it, right? You are systematizing the value of your subscription based on the subscription demand. And that there absolutely will be a cash flow issue there. Because if you're tying it to the dollar, well, then you're either going to have to extract, the same amount of tokens and take less cash, or more tokens to equal the same amount of cash if you're aligning it to the value of the dollar, right? If you're aligning this to the value of the dollar, then it doesn't matter. All you're doing is you're substituting New York Times bucks for U.S. bucks, right? And so the value isn't there. Where I thought they and would hope that they would go is in some of the discussions we've had, which is this works so much better in the loyalty and what you can do with that, once you're in, right? So when you're in early and you start earning the bucks, so now all of a sudden, yes, it's aligned and you're going to have 120 tokens taken next year to equal the $100 for your membership, and that's what you get. But quite frankly, you can also do things like buy access to super premium content. You can get a T-shirt. You can get, you can use that, for other things that you might want to buy within the New York Times world, their ecosystem. Think of them like, in the same way that Amex has their Amex points, right? Which you can buy all kinds of things with through their partners, with airlines and hotels and retail shops, et cetera. And that's where I think the real opportunity here is getting this to a point where you build a little world as a brand, and this subscription-based model exists where you can start, I think about, we talked about Terminus, right? The software company. So just to bring it to the SaaS model for a second, And in Killing Marketing, we talked about Terminus and how they launched the Flip My Funnel brand, with the blog and then the podcast and then their big event, and then they monetized that event, and it basically became a huge marketing effort for them, but also one that paid for itself because they had, people that bought tickets and all those kinds of things. In a very similar way, you could monetize those people earlier, right? So subscribers to the blog, subscribers to the to the podcast, they all get Terminus coin, for example, and that gets them a ticket to the event, which ultimately et cetera, et cetera. Those are the kinds of things I think we're going to really start to see, and where the opportunity is. I don't think it's necessarily early days. The early opportunity to me isn't to replace the subscription revenue, from a media company like a New York Times. It's to build in a loyalty program, a differentiating experience for those who do subscribe to the New York Times. So now New York Times can get into TV shows and YouTube channels and make all this exclusive content available to those who hold Times coin. Now we're actually talking about building a little economy in there. Yep. and keeping loyalty going. And monetizing it and cash flow, and then the public markets will be like, I get it. That's why you're doing it.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I love that. Like, I believe that all rewards programs in the next 5 years will be tokenized. Because you might say, well, this is nothing new. It's no different than, okay, let's take American Express, right? American Express rewards have to be used in American Express. I can't port those out anywhere. And it's fine. It's a great program. I've been a part of that program forever. I've taken trips on it, hotel rooms, all great stuff because you and I have traveled a lot, right? So we get those kind of rewards.
Right. That's right.
But if I'm on a token system, that theoretically that value should have increased as there's more members in it. And the other thing is, if I ever wanted to, I could port out the value of that token and actually use it for paper dollars, right? And go take it somewhere else. Can't do that right now with them.
Exactly.
Cannot do that with any rewards programs right now.
Right.
That's the differentiator.
Right. Which you can actually do that. Here's the difference. You can actually do a version of that through American Express, right? You can actually convert it to dollars to pay your bill, for example, right? You can use Amex points to pay your bill. You can, which is the same really as converting it to dollars, but the key is that whether you go through that to buy an airline ticket or a hotel ticket or what's happening is it's going through American Express. What you're talking about, that level of portability, where I can go to Amazon, for example, and and today I can go to Amazon and I can put something in my shopping cart and I can actually use a drop-down menu and I can spend Amex points, right? There's a way to do that. But think about it where there's not, right? But they can actually, and all of those transactions, the costs, all that infrastructure has to go through Amex. By doing this, they remove themselves from that equation so that they don't have all those costs, and it just becomes super portable. So it's literally when somebody goes, hey, I'm willing to get paid in Amex dollars, right? Because Amex will make good on that because they're valuable. Well, now you can, right? Now you can offer that up as an opportunity to pay for your drinks at the bar with Amex points, right? It's not going to be a big deal because it's just right there. You can do it. It's just spending that coin. That's the kind of thing I think is really interesting in the short term. And then we'll see in the longer term how that sort of evolves into something other than building loyalty into a larger world.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had there's a couple people that have been trying to set up their own social token or create community coin, whatever we call it, right? Token. They're trying to set up their own token today. Yep. And some have had success and some have not had success. And I think that the ones that have had success, you really have to think all the time about the utility of that token and how you make it more valuable for everyone involved in the group. So all coin, and that's right. And that's the thing. It's such an audience. That's why it really fits well with the whole content marketing thing. You're really focused on the audience's desires, their needs, their pain points, and how you can make that more valuable. So you have to make sure, like we do that with Tilt. Like If you want to buy merchandise with dollars, great. We make that available. It's just like anyone else. We don't want to say, oh, we only take Discover here. It's like, no, we'll take anything. We'll go ahead. You could, but we absolutely cannot set up a merchandise site without being able to use Tiltcoin, because that's at the center of our community. And if you think about it that way, so that's where if you get into Starbucks or Amex or some of these other reward programs, if they start to integrate it with everything they do, could you imagine the value that they've created in that?
Amazing.
And the early ones in, and then you make a decision and you say, well, yeah, I may want to use my Starbucks rewards for this cup of coffee, but maybe I don't. Maybe I want to buy more, put more into it, because I want to keep my 100 Starbucks rewards or whatever, because if I have that, I get access to Starbucks' annual event, whatever, right? I don't know what it is. But like you said, you get access to certain things, and you really have the opportunity to create all these amazing content experiences depending on the amount of token people have, which is equivalent to access. So,
well, just look at it this way. Yeah, because let's take it out of the Starbucks example and let's put it into your favorite company, Disney.
Yeah.
And Disney is, imagine, so one of the biggest challenges, of course, of subscriptions services is what? Stickiness, right? Retention and loyalty. It's, so when you think about the biggest problem that the streaming service, Disney streaming service has, loyalty and retention has to be number one on that list. If they were to somehow combine everything they own, think about it from the theme parks to ABC television to streaming to everything into that coin. So when you come in and you subscribe to Disney Stream, you can use Disney Coin to pay for it, which are tied to real dollars that you've spent elsewhere, right? Because either you're super loyal to them and you go to the park a lot, or you watch this thing, or you buy Mickey Mouse, or whatever it is you've done. You've earned the loyalty points to earn yourself a subscription to Disney, Disney Plus. Well, think about how sticky that is. Think about it. You're never going. It's never hitting your credit card bill, so you're never going to quit it. And just building that little ecosystem builds incredible customer loyalty. To have that kind of ecosystem be available to you in that way, because quite frankly, it's so clear that you're just a subscriber. It's like, oh yeah, I pay for tickets to Disney World. I pay for the ABC sort of television, and I pay for this Disney Plus thing over here. Gosh, that's a lot of subscriptions. I don't want to be bothered with it anymore. No, you just subscribe to Disney. You get everything Disney in their world with one subscription. That's a pretty powerful thing.
I hope somebody from Disney is listening to this, and they already have their rewards program. Can you imagine if they truly integrated it with every one of their touch points? How powerful that would be?
Oh yeah. It's unbelievable.
They keep it very separate.
I'm sure they
keep everything very separate.
Yeah.
And if they integrated that, and you're like, yeah, I'm a Disney, and we talked about it, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. It's like they're struggling. They're not struggling. Disney Plus has been amazing, but the fact is that they are selling Disney Plus subscriptions. They're not selling the Disney experience, because they could easily, because they've seen that I've watched every episode of The Mandalorian. How am I not getting offers to go for some kind of Mandalorian suit or something like experience? I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the thing is, what is, I guess, the most exciting thing about this is just to the point of this article and to the point you were making, which is you don't have to be Disney to do this, right? And this can be a differentiating. This is what excites me about this, is that this is a differentiating, content-driven strategy to build in experiences for your audiences that drive, that basically build customers before they buy your product and service, and creates differentiating experiences after they buy your products and services. All of it content and media driven, all of it around how do I create better customers that stay longer, buy more, do better things, And to me, it's a unifying sort of strategy that it just sort of is. It's like, yeah, this is a no-brainer for those that want to do this.
I agree. And that's, and we probably beaten this horse to death. But the point is that if you are not a huge brand, there's a big opportunity here to look at tokenization.
Yeah. And full caveat, right? And this article actually brings it up, which it says, okay, but not everybody has wallets yet. Absolutely a fair point. It is early days in this. It is early days, and the number of people who have wallets and know how to do this, and let's be clear, the user interfaces for this stuff are not solved yet. It is still complicated. It is still confusing. I spent a good amount of time over the last weekend, working on, I wanted to unify. I had like 3 wallets going, and I had, 2 accounts here and 1 account here. And, I basically aggregated everything into one wallet. So I had all my NFTs and all my, different cryptocurrencies in one wallet. And it was not easy. It was a puzzle that you had to figure out. So it will get easier, and it will get more consumerized. But until then, it's going to be a pretty niche idea for people. But this is the time to start exploring, right? Because it will get consumerized.
And just a hat tip to Gary Vaynerchuk when he launched VFriends. His audience was, most of his audience at the time that he launched this did not have digital wallets. And he went through a very specific process of teaching them. Here it comes. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do an NFT program. What is that? What does that mean? What do you need to have? You need to get a wallet. Here you can get a MetaMask wallet or whatever. He went through step by step. He was talking on video. He did the whole plan so that by the time he launched, everyone was ready. So if this is something you want to do, you have an education program with it. Because in 2 years, you won't need it. But right now you do. So there you go.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, let's move on to another story here, and this one is near and dear to those of you in the audience who love a good content marketing story here. We're going to talk about the good folks at Walgreens. Really interesting story here. They have a new content division. Hearkening back to my rant over the last few weeks, not sure why Media Post can't say the words, but they don't say the words. But the article, which is wonderful, starts off by saying Walgreens, and you all know Walgreens, the big drugstore chain, of course, is reimagining its creative services team, focusing on performance storytelling, they call it. Performance storytelling, huh? All right. If only there was another word for it. Led by Rigo Marquis, who joined the retailer as head of creative a little over a year ago. The team is a way to head into the future, finding modern and meaningful ways to connect with people using the latest technology, according to the company. Marquis tells the Marketing Daily, which is, of course, the Media Post section that this is on, what the retailer has been up to and how it hopes to change moving toward Web 3.0. And then the rest of the article is an interview with Rigo, talking about their plans and of note, it's about storytelling and the Marketing Daily asks things like, it's a conundrum for brands right now. Companies need to sell things. Stories need to be interesting. That's not always an intersection that works. What's your litmus test for a story that will work? And Rigo says, well, we're always trying to find about things like baskets and revenue, but our stories have to deliver value, whether it's about education, information, and inspiration. It's all driven by data. Gosh, I wish there was a thing for that. Anyway,
maybe someday.
I'll get off on another rant here, but it's a wonderful article and it's really interesting. And for those of you who may be looking for a business case, this is a good one where Walgreens in the retail space is talking about the documentaries they've created, some of the other kinds of content that they're creating, and how they're looking to connect their audiences in, as he says, at non-advertising ways. Did you take anything away different from that?
Well, a couple things. First, this is a team of 87 people. That's a significant sized content marketing department. And I think that most people in media don't realize that large brands are all doing this. So we just happened to get the news here that the Walgreens has 87. So it's significant. I like
Cleveland Clinic now has just short of 100 people.
So
that's one hospital.
You're right.
Cleveland
so there's
Clinic.
there's media companies inside every one of these brands. So I just like that.
Right.
That we need more stories like this. If regardless of the fact that they can't call it content marketing.
Right.
The second thing I like about this is, and you say this all the time in your workshops, you talk about how content marketing can make everything we do in marketing better. This specifically says the content marketing director here says from Walgreens says that this program is helping to make our advertising more effective. I mean, really, it's
exactly
that's their
that's
goal,
right.
Which is fine. I have no problem with that. This 87-person group, they're looking at the advertising programs and they create content around that advertising to make the advertising more effective. Nothing wrong with that. Good for them. Good on them. But the last thing I'll say is I don't think this is ambitious enough. I think that, and this is the problem that I have with most of the, brand studios, if you will, that are created. They never create what I would call BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. They don't say that we want to be Walgreens should come out and say that our goal is to be the, the leading healthcare informational brand that will take patients from X to Y, whatever the case is. I don't know what that mission would be, but come up with an amazing mission so that mission can go in front of all your content people and say, our goal is to build this amazing community, and we're going to do this through ongoing education, and here's how we're going to do it. And our stories need to be as good or better than anything else out there. Now, that's not their goal. I know that, Robert. Their goal is to just make advertising better. But wouldn't it be amazing that they would take the next step?
It would, it would be, it's not dissimilar, quite frankly, from the journey that Cleveland Clinic took, right? In the early days, it was about making their brand marketing better. And when they started to realize that they really could monetize it, and to his credit, the CEO of the company went, let's go all in. Let's do this. We can monetize this with real dollars and cash. Let's do it. Let's make this a thing. Let's put the right people in. Let's get the right infrastructure in. Let's get the right technology. Let's invest. Let's be ambitious, and let's be the number one health destination on the internet.
There you go. Yeah, that's it. And you said it better than I did. Number one health. We should be better than WebMD.
Yes, that's what their goal is, to be that good. Their goal is to drive that much traffic, to drive that much engagement with their audiences, that they're the number one health destination on the internet, and that's exactly what you're talking about.
And it's like Arrow. It's like
funny.
Arrow Electronics. Their goal is not to sell more electronics equipment. Yeah, that's a side product of their content program, but their goal is they want to be the destination for B2B electronics engineers in multiple markets. And they absolutely come out there and say that. They do that with 53 different brands. So
that's right. It was, it's funny because that you mentioned the whole, sort of helping the rest of marketing and sales, because I get that question a lot. In fact, I literally just wrote this email this morning to a client that was asking about this. Like, all right, they say, I've been able to sell one blog to my CEO. And it helped, we have links to our e-commerce catalog in that blog and all that kind of stuff. Now we want to build that sort of, that ambitious, BHAG oriented beginning of the journey, no product mention, sort of digital property. And, we have our big goal, and we have all those things, but the CEO or the leadership is saying, well, why does it have to be separate? Right? Why does it have to be separate than what we're already doing in marketing? Why don't you just make it a section of the existing blog, or why don't you just make it part of the website? And it's like, I came back to, and I don't know if this is an analogy that'll work for everybody, but it seems to work for my client, and it works for me, which is, remember the Jordan Belfort from the Wolf of Wall Street, the sell me this pen idea, right? And of course, the answer to the sell me this pen, idea is you have to know your audience, right? You have to know what they want, right? You have so the answer when somebody says sell you this pen is like, okay, why do you want a pen? Are you in need of writing? What do you like about pens? And you really need to know your audience, and in order to do that, in order that you don't ask and jump to features and benefits and say, well, let me tell you why this pen is so awesome and it writes with blue ink and blah blah blah. That's what those mid-funnel content marketing things are good for, and they're valuable, and they teach and they educate. They answer every question your customer might have about the product that you're offering, and all sorts of links to help them solve those questions. What you don't know in that middle of the funnel is what do they care about. And so those content marketing programs, like we're talking here with Walgreens, like we're talking about with so many things that you're talking, Cleveland Clinic, all those things, those are answering the questions that audiences have, not buyers. In other words, we start understanding what the people really need so that we can sell them a pen, and so that we can make them better, so that we can actually offer them something that is relevant to what they need. And we can only do that through a different kind of experience. So that's why it's different, and that's how it makes marketing better. It lets you know what your audience cares about.
That you could say, boy, that's you could say that over and over again. It's so important. Future.
I know.
There's a couple of other ways to look at it. I mean, Andrew Davis always talks about a really amazing content marketing program builds a future customer database. So you're building an audience database, right. Which will hopefully, if you do things right, will be future customers. But the other thing that I don't think a lot of people realize, and I love this, Doug Kessler with Velocity Partners talks about revenue ripples. And if you just focus on your product, and that's kind of the KPI of your content marketing program, it's fine, right? It's fine. It might work. Good. Right. Good on you. But if you take the audience approach, and good for you. If you take the audience approach and you back up a little bit, you realize that you've got this idea of revenue ripples. You have so many opportunities that just come across your path because you understand that audience better than anyone else. You're building this community that knows, likes, and trusts you. And then you open up the opportunity to sell not just your product and service, but you could sell 100 different things. You could sell new services. You could sell, direct paths like advertising and do your own events like Salesforce does with Dreamforce, and do all these things that you would never have the opportunity to do if you just focused on, we've got to sell this product here, and so we're going to do the blog on our site, and we're going to keep it here. And again, it's you have to take the chance. You have to take just like in what's the third Raiders of the Lost Ark. You have to take the leap from the lion's den.
Right? There it is.
You have to take the step.
Yep.
And
you have to take the step of faith.
And there's a lot, and that's why if you are a brand that doesn't like to take risks, you probably don't do this. This is a very safe move.
This is a
very safe move. Great move. Very safe move for Walgreens. If I could see, let's say, a Rite Aid doing something more aggressive because they can, because they're in that challenger spot. So,
yeah. That's interesting. All right. Well, for that, we should now move to our rants and raves sections. So, ladies, theydies, gentlemen, and gentle thems. See what I did there?
There you go.
I did it again. It is now time for our rants and raves segment where Joe and I go off on a little bit of a rant or a little bit of a rave that makes us feel a little bit like, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers when he is in a press conference, or Aaron Rodgers when he's on a Previa commercial.
I know I do. Real quick on the Aaron Rodgers thing. This has nothing to do with anything, but I'm not liking the look.
Right.
I'm not liking the homeless guy look. It just doesn't work. For him.
Since he's cultivating something. He's been doing it since the summertime when he played the whole game of, am I coming back? Am I not coming back? And, it always strikes me as he's trying to be like, do you remember Happy Days? Yeah. It strikes me that he wants to be Pinky Tuscadero, right? He wants to ride up on a motorcycle and do this slap and the guns, the gun show, and then basically be too cool for school and be like, I'm so cool, I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'll do whatever I want, I'm me. It's just the whole thing. His whole thing this year has been a little much for me. It's just the whole social media persona and the whole every interview he's just like couldn't be bothered. And then this, it's like, well, I'll tell you what. I'm questioning. I don't like the brand. Yeah, I'll put it that way. I don't like the brand strategy.
I'm with you. I don't like it either. But so just to talk a little bit of football before we get to this, it's somewhat relevant. But I was watching Drew Brees, who actually is a very good commentator. He does a pretty decent job. So Drew Brees was commentating, and they asked him, put him right on the spot, and said, "What do you think about Aaron Rodgers and the whole anti-vax thing and whatever?" And I love Drew brought it back to football. He said, the number one thing that a quarterback has to do as the leader of the team is be available. He says, I'm not saying anything about what he says, I'm saying nothing about what Aaron Rodgers believes, what he's talking about. He's made decisions that has impacted the football team based on his availability only. And he said, if Rodgers was available for that game against the Chiefs, he says, I think they would have won that game. I think Packers win, and you know what? Because he can't be available till next Saturday, he might impact the game on Sunday. So theoretically, that could keep the entire team out of the playoffs because he's not available. He said, so take all the other stuff out of it. Availability is the best ability. And I was like, oh my God, I love Drew Brees.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. I couldn't agree more. I don't care about his vaccine status. All I care about is the fact that he thinks he's cleverer than the rest of the world and decided that he could outsmart everybody and have his cake and eat it too. And that's just I don't like it. I don't like the cut of his jib. That's.
Oh my God! Yeah, boomer alert.
Yeah, there we go.
Just hit it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. My dad used to say, I don't care for the cut of his jib. All right.
Yeah.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
So,
all right.
First of all, I have to tell a disclaimer. I'm still learning about all this because we had a little family vacation this week, and I was not up and up on what was going on. But have you heard about this ENS token drop? Have you heard about the whole ENS? You haven't heard about it. I'm going to tell. This is a big deal. Do you own a .eth domain? Okay.
I do. I own my
There you go.
Name.
So do I. I own joepalizzi.eth. You own probably robertrose.eth. Well, right. They made this announcement last week or just a few days ago that ENS, that's Ethereum Name Service, that's the name of the domain, like GoDaddy, that's the equivalent. But ENS, they announced that they were going to become a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, and they were going to go into all governance, and that governance protocol was going to be set up on the ENS token that would govern all the components of the protocol. And they did a drop to anyone before October 31st that held an ETH, including you and I just found mine out because I was totally like, what the heck? We all get tokens as part and to be part of the DAO because we were early, quote unquote, investors because we bought, and they go through the whole thing on who gets it, which community members get it, and why. So if you and I had multiple ETH domains and we had them, let's say, for 20 years, we would get more than, let's say, somebody that had one for 1 year of, So anyways, fascinating. It took off immediately. Everybody went crazy over it, but I'm like, okay, because it got into the news because some people that had a lot of ETH domains and they set their expiration date for like 30 years, they got dropped like millions of dollars worth of tokens. Like significant.
Oh my gosh.
Now I wanted to check mine. I have 2 domains, joepalizzi.eth and then thetilt.eth. So I took those out and I just checked. Yeah. I just thought, hey, I am eligible to be part of the community because I have this. They took the snapshot. I did own those, and I looked at it. I have 59 tokens. So those 59 tokens right now are worth like $3,500.
Where did you check your thing? Did you check it in OpenSea?
You have to log in with your account, with your new account that you own all your stuff with your new wallet, and you go to claim.ens.domains. And I literally just went there 5 minutes before we started, and I said, "Oh, I got 59. That's great." So I'm going to go through the process, and you get them for free, but you do have to pay the gas fees. Long story short, all I'm bringing this up for, it's just back to our initial conversation, how the token is sort of the
makes you really
financial component. Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm domain crazy. I own like 100+ domains with GoDaddy. I think of an idea, and I go and I get the domain, and it's like crazy. Right. I got to get all of them. This is different. This feels different because, one, you're basically your .eth address, that can be a universal wallet. So instead of a clunky 32-digit code that you want to send to somebody, I can tell, let's say you want to send me money, Robert. I can say, oh, just send it to joepulizzi.eth. Done. So that's how that's supposed to be. That's great. But you can still be a website, by the way. So you can still do all the things that a website would do. And now I'm part of the community, and they're going to vote on delegates and all kinds of stuff, and it's just nuts. Like, this is not something that existed last year. This is a whole new thing. Yep. They're creating, like, the DAO is like the new LLC again. Yeah, we don't know where the regulations are going to be. This is not legal advice. I'm not telling you to do anything here. I'm just saying this is the thing. We're all trying to figure it out. And the crypto community went gaga over this thing as sort of, this is the way you do it. And it's interesting. I'm going through, and I go, oh, Joe, you have 59, and you go through, and I have to go vote. I got to vote on stuff if I want my tokens. Do you believe in this? You vote yay or nay, whatever. Claim your tokens. You got them. It's just, and then you go join the Discord, and you go vote, and you go do other stuff, and you be involved, and you join committees, and it's just like the new association, right? It's weird. Yep. So anyways, I wanted to share that. I've got a couple articles. I'll put them in the show notes that talks about the whole thing, why it happened, how it happened. And I think that's something that, based on our first news article, that people can take and learn, and we can start to figure this thing out. So there you go. Yeah.
Good stuff. Mine is like micro short, so we can wrap this up. But mine is basically an article that I'm going to link to in the show notes called What's New in Publishing.com, the site. It's an interview with a bunch of people that talk about how B2B media must adapt to survive. It's a great little interview with people talking about B2B media, but everything in it, you might as well just replace B2B marketer with, because it's just fantastic. So it's a really lovely, wonderful article. Wanted to link to it and talk it up, but I'll save the details. I mean, you can go figure it out for yourself.
I love that. It's your best one. Yeah. I like this article. Just figure it out.
Yeah. Go do it.
Go read and figure it out. Good deal. So you're
all right.
Done.
What do you got? Anything? I'm done. I'm done. I'm literally walking. I mean, as soon as we hit done recording here, I'm going to walk down to the stage and get mic'd up and go. So it's
okay. Before I let you go, what's your talk on? What are you talking on?
Yeah. My talk is on content marketing, of all things. I know that seems really like weird and strange, but I'm talking about content marketing and basically the trends for the coming.
When I first met you in June of 2008, you gave the same exact presentation. Content marketing trends.
I did.
I just want you to know that 13 years later, you're talking about the same damn thing.
It's all it's the same stuff over and over.
Well, good luck. Safe travels home, and we'll do it again next week. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to sign off. If you want to get all the goodness of this podcast show notes or dive into any of the other 295 or 96 episodes, just head on over to our website, won't you? thisoldmarketing.site. Remember, folks, hashtag us up on Twitter with your questions. Send us email through the contact form with an audio file, or, as Joe discovered, click the little microphone. It's just that easy. Until we meet again, just remember, everybody, it is your story to tell. Tell it well. We'll see you next week on This Old Marketing.